Welcome to the Crash the Pond podcast. It is a Monday, April 11th edition of the show. And oh boy, Jake, we actually have a lot. We've got way more to talk about today than I anticipated, than I saw coming.
So we don't need to spend an hour talking about fighting and hockey?
Oh, yeah. So to everyone who hung in there with us for the last episode, we salute you. We appreciate you. It was a topic that we felt that needed to be addressed, and hopefully it stuck. Hopefully we stuck the landing. But this week we've got actual news items to talk about. So I think that where we're going to start is, to me, the biggest news, which is Ryan Getzlaf announcing his retirement. We haven't had a chance to talk about that yet. And then today, some late-breaking news thanks to Elliot Tieford of the Orange County Register, reporting that Dallas Eakins is going to be back next year, at least for one more year, with a formal announcement to come later in the week from GM Pat Verbeek. And then lastly, we've got some college free agent stuff to talk about. So I think we should just get right into it, although I do want to point out that we are both rocking Angels hats today. I bought my first ever Angels hat over the weekend yesterday, went to an Angels game, and I got to say this. I want to put this out there, and I really hope I'm not offending anyone, but we're gonna get after it early here. Angel Stadium hot dogs, I give them a healthy 6 out of 10.
Didn't you go higher than that in Discord?
Yeah, I said 6.7, but upon further review, after video review, I've decided to lower that to 6 out of 10.
Wow, bold take there.
They were just too. I mean, they need to be a bit more substantial.
What did you put on it? Let's get there quick.
Chopped onions.
Okay.
Raw chopped onions. That's it.
No ketchup, no mustard, just raw chopped onions.
Yeah, I think that's the go-to because the acidity of the onions helps cut through the greasiness of the dog.
Alec Getzlaf starting another episode with hot dog talk. Wow. I did not even think about that.
Have we done that? Have we done this before?
We talked about hot dogs at the start of last episode because of Tyson Nash.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, look, it's a fine dog. No issues really, but also nothing spectacular.
Yeah.
And this pains me to say because no one likes the Dodgers except Dodger fans, but Dodger dogs are actually kind of good. So yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But a fun time. Enjoyed Angel Stadium. They actually had up on the jumbotron, or I don't know what you call it, the big screen, Getzlaf's retirement announcement. So just a fun time overall, despite the team.
I just really need to quickly say that going only onions is not the right call there. You got to go ketchup, mustard, onions, jalapenos.
Whoa. Actually, jalapenos does sound like a good call.
It is a very good call.
But I feel like pickled jalapenos. I don't know. I'd have to try it, but I'm open to it.
They're delicious.
I'm open to it.
They're delicious.
I get a lot of flack for not being open-minded enough.
Yeah,
on the show.
Well, you get flack because you aren't.
Okay. Well, let's move on from that.
Okay.
Let's move on from that. I think we spent enough time on baseball and wiener talk here. The biggest news of the week to me, I think it's the best starting point, which is the fact that Ryan Getzlaf, career Duck, whose number will surely be raised into the rafters as soon as he retires, legendary Anaheim Duck, has announced his retirement. And it's something that we had a feeling might happen, and now it's official. So, I mean, for you, Jake, you're a longtime fan of the team.
Yeah.
This is really your moment to kind of reflect. What was your reaction, I guess, first off?
I think my reaction was, I don't know. I was sad. I think that's the best way to put it, because I think it kind of really overwhelmed me a little bit on the day. I think you and I both heard some rumblings that this may be coming. So even though we had heard that, this still kind of hit me like a freight train a little bit.
Now it's real.
Yeah, exactly. And so it really kind of hit home, because I think I've made it clear here kind of where my kind of origin stories as a fan. But I was a fan as a kid, would go to games, obviously grew up loving Korea Solani, but it was kid fandom. Very different than kind of the fandom that I have now. And really kind of the fandom I have now started in 05-06. And it was when I was in high school. The lockout happened. I kind of, the last couple of years, not really paid that much attention to hockey. And I just, for whatever reason, started watching the games again in 05, 06. My dad and I went to some of those playoff games, specifically a decent amount of the Calgary series. And the Ducks ended up making that run to the Western Conference Final. And that was Ryan Getzlaf's rookie year. And so it kind of hits me that essentially my entire adult fandom, like kind of incarnation of my fandom that I'm in now, obviously it's changed, grown, I've become more analytical, everything like that. But the incarnation of where I am now as a fan started in Ryan Getzlaf's rookie career or rookie season. And I think that it really kind of hits home. And I think I was the same way with Perry, but Perry's still playing when he was bought out, and it was a little bit of a different situation. And so I think it's just like sad. I think that it's sad that an era is coming to an end. Obviously, we talk a lot about the analytics side of things, look at things, and there's a bright future ahead for this franchise. But I think it's an end of an era. And I think if you're someone like me that is around our age, your entire 20s had Ryan Getzlaf on the Ducks. I mean, your entire adult life had Ryan Getzlaf on the Ducks. And so I don't really know if there's any other way to put it than just kind of sombering, sad, but also appreciative. I think that's a very important way to put it, is also appreciative, because Ryan Getzlaf, peak Ryan Getzlaf, was a treat to watch. And I can't remember if this was way back in Anaheim Calling when I would comment on that website way too much, and it was a little community in its own, but whether it was Time or Benny over there would kind of say, Ryan Getzlaf has his games where he says, I'm Ryan Getzlaf and you're not. And when he had those games, it was truly an absolute treat to watch, because you just knew the puck wasn't going to come off his stick and he was going to find a way to set up a goal multiple times in a game. And there were just multiple games where he would have 4-point nights, and you would just be like, oh, okay. He had another 4-point night, and it was just a treat to watch. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of questions that get raised as a result of Ryan Getzlaf's retirement. But I think before we get into all of that, it just feels appropriate to kind of look back a little bit and, like you said, appreciate what he did. I mean, all in all, 17 years in the NHL, Ryan Getzlaf has played nearly 1,200 games, 1,151 games, all as a member of the Anaheim Ducks. Well, one season as a member of the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. And then in that span, 282 goals, 731 assists, 1,013 points overall. And, I don't want to get into the whole is he or is he not the greatest Duck of all time, because I feel like that takes away a little bit from the moment, right? The moment is about him. It's the fact that he gave his entire career to this team, that he really, I think, contributed significantly to the local, youth hockey scene, along with Corey Perry, and all the great moments in the playoffs. I mean, the fact that, this franchise's only Stanley Cup, that he was arguably the leading offensive force in that playoff run. And so I think if you put that all together, we don't need to get into debate. I'll just say it and leave it as is. But Ryan Getzlaf, to me, is the greatest Duck of all time.
Correct.
I don't think there's much of a debate for number one. I understand the people who, maybe a little nostalgia, look back and say, oh, we'll look at Timo or, perhaps Paul Kariya. But really, you have to reward longevity. You have to reward the fact that Ryan Getzlaf and the consistency factor there, it just can't be overlooked. And I think that's what places him at number one for me. Paul Kariya, maybe if he had played his entire career as a Duck, would have gotten there. I mean, certainly Paul Kariya's peak might be higher than anybody's peak as a member of the Ducks franchise.
Yep.
But that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah, and I mean the numbers kind of speak for themselves. The only Duck to ever play over 1,000 games in a Duck sweater, all of it, no breaks in between either. The longest serving captain in Ducks history, most points ever, the only Duck to ever break 1,000 points ever. And then you also have to look at the time that over that time span where he was in his elite category, when he was the captain of this team, when he was going, it was the most successful time frame in the Ducks history. Like, you can certainly look at the Cup, and maybe if you want to just point as actual tangible success, you say that's the most successful period. But they didn't follow up on that cup run with a whole lot of actual success afterwards. They lost to the Stars the season after. They made a run to the second round the season after that, and they had the conference final before that. So they did have a good 4-year stretch there. But I would kind of they only won one division title. They didn't have the same amount of continual success that the Ducks did during Ryan Getzlaf's period of being a captain and being kind of in his prime. And I was just curious because JFresh has his historical WAR data, and I'll throw it up on the screen right now so you can kind of see he was elite for almost all of his career. Basically, the 11, 12, 12, 13 seasons were the only seasons that kind of dipped down into like the 80th percentile. Everything else was well above the 95th percentile until he basically turned 30. And then as Father Time does, it catches up to all of us.
Yeah. And he also had a back injury.
Yep.
Which kind of started that steady decline. But I will say this. It is a bit of a shame that he's retiring now, because even though I fully respect the decision, and I think that there's definitely something to going out, on not necessarily on top for him, but going out while it's kind of still your choice to make, and you're not the one being forced out. This is a guy who's still playing at a pretty impressive level. I mean, overall, just looking at his impact on ice this season, still well above replacement in terms of driving play from a shot attempt perspective. His play kind of dipped down from expected goals, and scoring on ice was not that great. But even last year, he was very good in almost all respects. And then I think what's most intriguing to me is when you look at Corey Schneider's tracking data. I mean, Ryan Getzlaf is still an elite level playmaker in the NHL, just in terms of the amount of what he classifies as chance assists. So his ability to his passes that end up becoming a scoring chance, he's still a guy who's well above the average in the NHL. And you can go down the list. I actually tweeted this out, so you can go look at my Twitter for that. But just still a guy who could help a team, who could help the Ducks, maybe even next season. But I think he alluded to this in his press conference, the fact that his back is kind of starting to flare up a little bit, starting to be sore, and he's had that injury there. So I think it makes sense. It makes complete sense for him. He's a guy who Eric Stevens wrote a good article about it, who he was playing for. He cared about the games in May. And, he didn't want to leave the Ducks. It didn't really seem like the Ducks are going to be – we don't know if the Ducks are going to be back there anytime soon. They might be. They could be. But for a guy like Getzlaf, who's already maybe dealing with some health issues, maybe it's just time to walk away. So I 100% respect the decision, but I still think he could play.
Yeah, I think, but that's kind of always been Ryan Getzlaf, I think, is that he didn't – I don't think he wanted – and he's kind of said this in interviews – he didn't want to be the guy that was going to be forced out. He wanted to – and I completely understand that, honestly. You don't want to essentially – be forced.
That's what makes it harder.
Yeah, you don't want to be forced out. You want to be able to go out on your own terms. And I think that there are guys that are each of those. I think Corey Perry's probably going to be a guy that's going to have his skates and stick taken away from him to get him off the ice and not play anymore. Whereas Getzlaf just isn't that. I think he's a guy that has enjoyed his time, loved his time, been a great captain, been one of the best players, as we said, the best Duck of all time. But he wanted to go out on his terms. He didn't want to leave the game and essentially be remembered for that final season of not being good enough. And I think in some ways that's what makes this special, right? What you just said is how he's playing this year, that he really was a good player. And the fact that you're going to remember that about him instead of having this lasting memory of a player who was a shell of himself. And whether that be a David Backes last year, right, who was nowhere near where he used to be. Even Teemu Selanne at the end of his run wasn't what he used to be. And I think in some ways it's a nice way to say goodbye to a player that is still playing at a high level and going out on his own terms.
Yeah, and I think looking just a bit at the press conference, his retirement speech and ceremony, I thought it was really well done. Having his parents up there first to give their speeches. I think that's really special because everyone knows how important hockey parents are. And then I think, everything, all of it, of course, was very touching. But to me, the one that really stuck out is just how emotional he got when he brought up Corey Perry's name. Like, he made sure to bring up Corey Perry. He made sure to talk about the bond that they had formed, the brotherhood that they had formed. And it just goes to show that all those years, all those playoff battles, those deep runs, those regular seasons of success, that those guys really formed something there.
Well, think about it, right? They broke into the league at 21 years old, and they were the same exact age,
same draft class,
same everything, and you instantly are going to have that connection. and you essentially go through your entire 20s together on the team, becoming really good friends, best friends, doing everything on and off the ice, getting married, essentially all these major life events are happening at the same exact, or happening with each other around. And it's hard not, I mean, obviously you think about just even your work colleagues and how you have friends at work. And as you're at that work longer, they start to become closer and closer friends. And it's a very probably similar concept, but to a whole nother level when you're traveling and you're on the road with these guys and you're seeing them essentially every day of the week in order to essentially go get food, have a friend, something like that. And so it makes total and complete sense that they have this emotional connection. And it's something that also, just kind of looking back, is special that we were able to watch this time period with those two guys feeding off of each other and vibing off of one another.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's probably the coolest part about all of this is just the fact that the Ducks got to experience this long stretch of time with two very unique stars. Everyone talks about Ryan Getzlaf's play style and that unique combination of size and skill and playmaking ability. And then Corey Perry has his own unique blend of skills as well. And, of course, the interview that Perry did for Getzlaf's retirement, just completely falling apart. Also tough to watch, but it just goes furthers what you were saying, that these guys really cared about each other. And I think it's a real shame that they couldn't retire both on the Ducks, but that's in the past. Yeah, we're not gonna rehash that.
We've gone down that hole many times. Here's a question for you on this.
Yep.
The Ducks played Tampa on Thursday.
Oh,
did you not realize that yet? Has that not clicked?
Is that on the road?
Yeah, on the road. They're in Florida tomorrow, and then Tampa on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Do Perry and Getzlaf fight?
That would be really funny.
That would be really funny. I think that would be a hilarious way for their, because they've probably only played each other, 2 times ever?
Yeah, it must not be very many.
They probably played in
They
junior.
didn't play last year.
Well, and Getzlaf was in the WHL and Perry was in the OHL.
Yeah. So, yeah, something might go down.
I think they played Dallas once. So I think they've played twice.
No, I don't think they would have.
They played Dallas pre-pandemic once.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, technically twice, but Perry was suspended for one of them.
Okay.
That was the game where he came back and got the ovation and had to be up in a suite because he was suspended for it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be fun. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, do you have any other thoughts about maybe your favorite Getzlaf memory or just anything else?
Real quick, Rex Azar has the point in our Twitch chat saying they should quote unquote fight, but then bust out a dance routine, dirty dancing, lift and all.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
I think you're on board for that.
Yeah, 100%. Give me that type of comedy. Just let it happen. All right, go on. Sorry.
Well, so, I mean, I think we can move on here. I think that now there's some questions that we have to address because now the Ducks have a pretty significant void down the middle that they're going to have to address going into next season. And as of right now, I mean, the list of centers that the Ducks have is not the most awe-inspiring. I mean, you've got Adam Henrique, who may or may not be a center next season. We don't know. You've got Derek Grant, who we all know what that means. Of course, Trevor Zegras, Sam Steele, who's kind of in and out of being a center and a winger, Isaac Lundestrom. And so you could go down the list here. I mean, Mason McTavish is waiting in the wings and will potentially make the leap next season. You've got Sam Carrick, who also goes back and forth. But that's not really a murderer's row. And I think that if the Ducks do want to significantly improve their lot next season and make a push for the playoffs, it feels like this is not like this group of centers is not going to be what we're going to see come opening night.
I kind of just maybe. Here's the tough thing there.
If they want to be better, like if they want to be substantially better.
Well, yes.
You can't roll into next season. I mean, I guess if your top 3 centers are Zegras, Henrique, and Carrick.
Oh, I was going to say McTavish.
Okay, let's call it McTavish, Carrick, Henrique, and Zegras. That could be really good.
Yeah.
It could also be slightly above league average. It could also be not that great. Like, we don't really know. Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit up in the air. You're assuming some positive improvement from Zegras. Carrick, I mean, he's been really good this year, but What are we going to get year over year? And, I mean, we'll get into the Eakins bit later, but Isaac Lundstrom's going to play.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
Well, I think ideally what you would have is you would have Zegras, McTavish as your kind of 1-2 punch, Adam Henrique as your kind of middle six center that's kind of your fit-all. I think Adam Henrique as a center is actually vastly underrated at this point in time by a lot of people. And I think he's someone that really fits well as a 3C, 2C, something in that range. And I think would be great kind of paired with Mason McTavish as your kind of 2-3C combo. I think that we need to see obviously what McTavish can bring. This is obviously kind of being extremely hopeful with what he's going to be in the NHL next year. I think you and I both agree he's in the NHL next year, though. I don't think he goes back. And so that leaves Isaac Lundstrom as your fourth line center. And if that's go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's where Isaac Lundstrom should be. And now I guess the big question is whether or not Lundstrom actually fills out that role with how the coaching staff views him is a whole nother question. But I think that being your four centers for the team isn't an awful look. And while I agree, yes, I think that you could certainly upgrade, especially at the 3 and the 4C. They're going to want to get Mason McTavish minutes at center. The whole purpose of sending him back to junior was for him to play center. They're not going to, I don't think they're going to start him on the wing next year. I think that you send him back to get time at center. If you see him long-term as a center, play him at center. And I guess the question is whether they view it that way. But you and I both agree on that. That's how we saw Trevor Zegras. The whole playing him on wing is so dumb last year if your long-term plan was to have him at center. And so I think the same thing with Mason McTavish. Play him at center.
But, again, Eakins is going to be the coach.
Well,
so
I guess let me ask this. How much of the Zegras on the wing last year was Dallas Eakins, and how much of that was Bob Murray? Because that seemed actually like a very distinct Bob Murray plan from what he talked about, where they wanted to get him games on the wing and then send him back to the AHL to get games at center. And so that almost felt like it was dictated that Zegras had to play on the wing.
I agree with that. The thing with Lundstrom, to me, is that he's going to play. Like, whether we like it or not, he's going to play. He's going to be the third-line center to second-line center in terms of utilization. So we have to be ready for that. The question is just, is McTavish going to be so good that he's going to be the one that's going to be the second-line center? Or is he going to be more of a guy who's playing behind Lundstrom? What's his utilization going to be like? We just don't really know. I just think looking at Lundstrom, you're really hoping that because of his relative youth, that maybe he takes an actual step forward next year.
Yeah,
because
not a shooting percentage bump.
Yeah, because everyone's been really singing his praises this year. But if you kind of dig deeper into his stats, he's just not a guy who's having any kind of positive impact at 5-on-5. And so maybe, given that he's 22, he takes a step ahead next year. I mean, I was looking at his stats, his tracking data, and he's really, really good at gaining the zone, controlled zone entries, really good at that. And he's good at entering the zone in a multitude of ways. It's not just skating it in. He's also good at gaining the zone entry with the pass. The problem is he doesn't do anything outside of that when he gets into the zone. Like, it's something that we've talked about from an eye test perspective, but the stats really bear this out.
He can't make a tape-to-tape pass in the offensive zone.
He's below league average in terms of shots per 60, shot assists per 60, primary contributions per 60, total shot contributions per 60, chance contributions, chance assists, rebounds created, point shot setup, passes from center lane, like all of that. He's just below average, and well below in some. And so the hope is that this is what I was talking about on my Lundstrom comments that drew the ire of our Discord, that maybe he can turn that skill of getting the puck into the offensive zone and work on the rest. And he's already got the foundation to get there. Yeah. And maybe with better line mates that'll change. But that's really the hope. And so all of this to say that with Getzlaf being gone, I just think that there's a lot of unknown. And I think you can make a case either way. Like, I think what you're saying is totally plausible, that they're going to be good enough, that they're going to be even good. I think there's also a case to be made that Lundstrom is going to play too much, that Zegras might still get jerked around a bit, and McTavish might look like a rookie. Like, I just think that all those things could still happen.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yep, definitely. I guess the other follow-up on the Getzlaf conversation is, where do you think they go with captaincy?
So, yeah, that's the next question. And I think it's going to be interesting, right? Do they even name a captain next year? I guess that's question one.
I think they do. The main reason is I don't think the Ducks have ever actually gone a season without a captain. Unless I'm misremembering, I believe that when Korea left, Steve Ruchin was named captain and was captain for that one season. Then Scott Niedermayer came in. Then the season that Scott Niedermayer was kind of iffy on whether he was going to come back or not, Pronger was named captain for a year. Then Niedermayer was captain again after that. And then after he retired, Getzlaf was named captain. And so there hasn't ever, I think, been a season without a captain, because I think even in the inaugural season there was a captain.
Right.
So, I mean, granted, Getzlaf is the longest tenured captain. If you're ever going to do it, now's the time to do it.
So, who's your pick if you're naming a captain next year?
If I'm naming a captain, I would honestly go with Troy Terry.
Wow. I mean, I don't think anyone should be surprised that you're saying that.
I legitimately haven't even gotten to that. This is the first that even popped in my head, because I mean, I honestly think there's a bunch of guys you could throw in there. I think Cam Fowler would make a whole lot of sense. Fowler would fit the transitional captain mold that he has 3 or 4 years left. He has the captaincy for 3 or 4 years to eventually go to Trevor Zegras when he's 23, 24. And I think that honestly is probably the most likely case. But also, Troy Terry's a guy that really seems to have the pulse of the team, is someone that's very thoughtful with how he's able to speak to the media, really handles the media well. And I think in a way that, as much as we love the way Trevor Zegras handles the media from our perspective, I feel like the organization might not love how he handles the media because he's just so out there and open.
Yeah.
And so they're probably would feel a bit better with Troy Terry being that front-facing guy. And so I think Troy Terry being that captain would make a lot of sense with all of that if you want it to be someone in that younger group. I think I'm going to back it off slightly, though. I think it will be Fowler with Terry and Zegras as assistants.
Yeah, that's my prediction as well. I think that Fowler's really good with the media, too.
Yeah, he is.
I think he's one of the more thoughtful guys. I mean, of course, this is all on a relative scale of like hockey interviews, but he is, I think, a pretty thoughtful, insightful, and he just kind of fits that mold. Like he's still a top level contributor, and he's got the experience.
And I think in some ways it's recognition of what Fowler's done for the franchise.
Yeah, I think it would be a little strange if he did not get it.
I think no matter what, he's going to be an assistant if he's not the captain. I think it just depends. And so I mean, Fowler has 805 games played as the Ducks. That's crazy because that's 4th all time.
Right. Like I just think that it would be crazy if he was not the next captain.
Is Cam Fowler going to break 1,000 games as a Duck? He's at 805.
Yeah, he'd have to play 4 more years at least. Well, 3 point something full seasons. I think he'll get there.
2.37.
2.37. So my math is terrible. Yeah, I think he'll get there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 4 seasons left on his contract. Sorry, 5. No,
so
4. Yeah.
Here's a fun question, seeing as we're just following all this up. Does Cam Fowler get his number retired?
Wow, now you're really really going for it.
If Cam Fowler breaks 1,000 games as a Duck,
breaks 1,000 games, was a captain. Maybe they have a few more playoff runs where he's the captain.
Maybe a captain of their playoff run potentially spends his entire career as a Duck. Does 4 go to the rafters? I
could see it, but I think he's going to have a really strong back 9 here.
Agreed.
To get that, because I think even though he has the significance and he has the kind of career, like the Lifetime Achievement Award aspect, I think to have your number retired, you also need to be a top level player.
Yeah, because he's not he's not a Hall of Fame player. He's not. Yeah, whereas Getzlaf is.
And even Niedermayer, who you much detest the fact that his number was retired,
under 400 games as a Duck.
Yeah, the fact that you hate that so
371
much.
Games.
But at least Scott Niedermayer is he a Hall of Famer? Yeah. He is a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is that. And I think he was part of the cup winning team. Like there's just all those factors that I just don't think you can't just give out. You can't retire numbers just because of lifetime achievement. It's got to be beyond that. And I think that with Getzlaf, he's got it all. He's got the lifetime achievement. He's got the high level.
is being on playing over 1,000 games for the franchise, being a one-player team, a lifetime achievement award? It probably is.
Well, no. Well, what are you trying to say?
With Fowler, for Fowler, for the argument of
he's going to get a silver stick, right? He's going to, or is that for 1,000 points?
That's just 1,000 games.
1,000 games, yeah. Like
that's just 1,000 games in general.
He's going to get his due. There's going to be a Cam Fowler night. You know, like it's. I just don't. You got to. I think the bar needs to be higher. And I hate saying this because I think Fowler's been great.
No, that's fair. Honestly, Fowler's a tougher call for me than Jaguar.
Oh, well, I think Jaguar is more deserving.
I think Fowler is more deserving because of, I think, longevity.
I don't know.
It's a weird situation, though, where...
I actually don't agree with that at all.
Okay.
I mean, Jaguar has a Conn Smythe.
That's fair.
Right? Has a Conn Smythe as a goalie. And, I mean, he
was really good.
Was the starter for the Cup win team.
That's fair.
I mean, I think that you're a bit ridiculous with that take.
All right.
That's okay, though.
All right, fine. All right.
You're known for that.
It's time for a word from our sponsor, though. This episode is brought to you by Manscaped, the champions of below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped and our proud sponsors have done it again with the launch of the brand-new Ultra Premium Collection. From trimming your hockey pucks to your everyday grooming and hygiene routine, Manscaped is here. After lighting the lamp, hit the showers with this all-in-one skin and hair care kit that covers you from head to toe, literally. Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code CTP. So, Felix, we all know that Manscaped's Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer has the precision of McDavid to trim below the waist. Their advanced skin-safe technology reduces cuts to your most delicate areas. But now you can enhance your perfect grooming routine and confidence with their Ultra Premium Collection. This package includes the Manscaped Premium Deodorant. No, not for your balls. For your stinky armpits after hitting the ice, this deodorant dries clear, is aluminum-free, and cologne-infused with their hydrating scent. And Felix, why don't you tell us about the Hydrating Body Moisturizer?
Yeah, so maybe you've had a long day at the rink. The moisturizer will keep your skin feeling clean, smooth, and smelling fresh. I'm someone who gets dry skin, and I've been using this, and I actually really enjoy it. I'm kind of a snob when it comes to moisturizers, and this definitely passes the test. The body wash as well to lather you up with their infused aloe vera and sea salt shower gel. You want to get the aloe vera on you with this body wash. There's also a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner to clean your lettuce with an easy one step, plus a free gift, a 3-pack set of lip balm to keep your trash talk firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, so that's 4 products plus a gift inside the Ultra Premium Collection. What a score! Made with the best ingredients with zero compromise to ensure you don't take a grooming penalty. I'd recommend using the products in this order. 1. Hop in the shower and scrub-a-dub-dub that body with the Manscaped Body Wash. 2. Lather your hair up with the 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner to keep your noggin toggin. 3. Dry off and spray on the hydrating body moisturizer to reinvigorate dry skin. 4. Put on the Manscaped deodorant for obvious reasons. Body odor is a major penalty. And 5. Pop that Manscaped lip balm on. Chirping has never felt better. The boys will be buzzing after cleaning up with the superstar lineup from Manscaped. So you can get 20% off plus free shipping with the code CTP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code CTP at manscaped.com. Don't be a goon. Upgrade your hygiene routine with Ultra Premium Collection and from Manscaped to fight your bush and odor this season.
There you go. Okay, so anything else on Getzlaf or jersey retirements or the captaincy, I guess, is where we left off here.
No, I think I'm all good. Gonna be interesting to see what they do. I think that, I think Fowler's an interesting name. And here's the thing. If it is Fowler, I think they just do that next season.
Do you think that Adam Henrique gets a letter? So what are the rules here? Can't you have 2 different alternates at home and on the road?
Yeah, you can do whatever the hell you want.
I could see them not giving the only A's to Zegras and Terry.
Maybe
I could see Shattenkirk and Henrique, for example.
Yeah, I mean,
getting A's.
Yeah, you can do it that way. Basically, you just have to make it where you can only have 3 letters in a game. That's the rule.
Right.
You can rotate it around if you want. I mean, the Ducks have kind of done that in the past, honestly.
So I could see them doing that, but I think that what I would do would be Fowler, Zegras, Terry what I think will happen, I think that will actually happen, but I could see them maybe rotating the A's depending on home and road. So just because we can't always have exactly what we want. So
Yep.
Okay, so let's get to the bombshell though. I mean, this has just been a build up to the bombshell. So going into today's podcast, I was not 100% sure that we were going to have that much to talk about. You know, obviously outside of the Getzlaf retirement, it felt like a little bit of a light week. The games that the Ducks played were, let's just call them unremarkable. I mean, you could say the win in Philly was a good one, but just not super memorable. So today we get a report from Elliot Tieford that, according to an NHL source,
and now at the Athletic, legitimately, let's see, 8:28 p.m. So 8 minutes ago, said Dallas Eakins is expected to return.
Oh, well, there you go. Breaking news.
Sources confirmed to the Athletic.
Wait, where? Where are we looking at this?
This is on the Athletic, the Ducks page. It's by Eric Stevens.
Oh my! So there you go. Breaking news on the pod. So Dallas Eakins is back next year. That's when it first dropped, though. Tieford with the Register, saying an NHL source, and now I guess that the news is just trickling out further and further. And so I don't think, does the Athletic report specify the length?
Here's exactly what it says.
At least,
Dallas Eakins is expected to return to the as coach for the Ducks for the 2022-2023 season. Sources confirmed to the Athletic. It is believed that Eakins' original 3-year contract also contained an option for the 4th year, which the club is expected to pick up. Verbeek is expected, so it's not an extension. It's it's picking up the 4th year option, basically. So it's the same contract.
Right. So I think that this is an interesting wrinkle to it, right? Because it's not as if, like you said, it's not as if he's getting an extension. It's not as if the Ducks are maybe recommitting to him. This almost just feels like a wait and see. You have the option, and then maybe if things go well next year, then you extend him, right? Maybe next year he has a more legitimate shot at having a competitive team. And if they don't, you can just walk away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
exactly.
Your reaction.
As
you furiously type a tweet.
Yeah, I'm like in the middle of it, but I guess now we'll wait. I was hoping that you would go on a little bit longer there for me to get that out as you're throwing to me, so you can do the same. My initial reaction was frustration, I guess is the first word of it, mainly because it's primarily a situation of we've seen Dallas Eakins this year badly misuse his lineup. And I think that we can look at, I guess if you're trying to look for a positive, you can look at the beginning of the season, right? Yeah. I think the first 25, 30 games of the season, he was doing a good job. There were obvious frustrations with some things here and there, like why would you not unite, for instance, Zegras and Terry that early? There was a whole article about it, almost talking about why weren't they put together earlier in some ways, if that's a way that you would want to go. And so he did make some good moves, though, uniting Zegras and Milano. They ended up having great chemistry. And so he really had them playing a lot better. The issue is there felt like there was a big regression from him as a coach midway through the season, where he really went back to kind of older ways of relying on these styles, the fact of sitting on the leads to play for overtime, the putting of Derek Grant with Trevor Zegras, all these kind of things that come up, the over-reliance on the Lundestrom line when that was there, all these things that really came out in the last little bit of this season, the last half of this season, really have been frustrating to see, because it's taken a team that you and I both agreed on were playoff, should have been in the playoffs by about Christmas. You and I both agreed that they were a playoff team at that point in time, to the point where they are now eliminated from the playoffs with about 8 games left in the season. So that just kind of goes to show how poor the end of the season has been. And it just feels like there are a lot of different factors, but I think coaching is a big part of that. And so I think my initial reaction is frustration. And now I guess trying to look into the logic behind it of Pat Verbeek, I think you're kind of spot on, where maybe he wants to see what he can do with essentially Pat Verbeek's able to be the architect of a different type of team. And maybe this is a situation where the Samuelis wanted to give him one more run with it. I mean, there's also those factors at play, right? Where they potentially were people that really went to bat for him to get the job in the first place, and the Ducks saw better success at the start of this year, and they want to see what he can do with a new team under Pat Verbeek. And I mean, at the end of the day, doing a 1-year extension isn't that big of a deal to me. It's not a deal breaker. It's not that harmful.
And it's not even an extension. Actually, it's just an
Picking
option.
up the option.
Yeah, exactly. They're picking up the option. Look, I will. This is a tough topic. This is a really tough topic because there's a few different ways you can look at it, and I think the number one way that a lot of people start, I would say the people that are more pro Eakins, is that Dallas Eakins has had a very weird hand to play, a very
fair.
weird hand that he was dealt with the Ducks. If you look at his first season, right, it was a rebuilding year. It gets cut short with the pandemic, and then afterwards, right, you have the COVID season with the weird divisions, and that season really did him no favors because you didn't really see a lot of improvement in the team's play. There really just wasn't a whole lot to write home about. We started really seeing that weird usage start to kick in, and there weren't really high expectations for that season either. But there wasn't a lot of progress that you could really see. Then fast forward into this season. The Ducks start out really well, and they're knocking on the door of the playoffs. And, I mean, by the holidays, the Ducks were, probabilistically looking at Money Puck's model, they were looking like almost a lock to make the playoffs. And then, of course, COVID roared back into the picture. The Ducks fall out of it, and they never recovered. And I feel like for a lot of people, they're willing to kind of hand wave away everything that's happened since. And
Overlook it.
And I don't know if that's completely fair. I mean, I think that the Ducks were already showing some signs of regression before everything got crazy. And ever since then, kind of to what you were saying, it just feels like Dallas has really fallen back into some poor habits. And all the things that seemed to make the Ducks really successful early in the season, it seems like he abandoned them. And then the other thing I want to say, which I think really needs to be we need to beat this drum, is the fact that the Ducks power play still sucks.
Damn it.
And
I was about to get there.
Okay. Well, I want to beat this drum.
Go for it.
It's just the fact that, there's been this whole narrative this year about, well, Newell Brown, Jeff Ward, these guys are, mad scientists cooking up these great schemes and look at how well they're playing. But right now, by expected goals for per 60 on the power play, this is per evolving hockey. They adjust their model for the power play to make it more predictive, more representative of how the power play is versus 5-on-5. The Ducks rank 30th right now. So if you fast forward to the year before, right, where the Ducks supposedly had this awful assistant coaching staff and then they just had no plan and what have you, last year the Ducks were, they were 17th in XGF per 60 on the power play. So the Ducks have actually gotten drastically worse this year at generating quality and quantity on the power play.
Shocker. Splitting up Trevor Zegras from your most dangerous scores is not a good idea on the power play. I mean, right now, they mention it in the... Eric Stevens, I think, mentioned it in the article that for now they want to split them up to be able to spread out the offense. And so they don't want to even though they're reuniting Zegras and Terry together, but they're splitting them up on the power play. And so one of the power plays is, I think it's Drysdale, Zegras, Grant, Lundestrom, Mayhew, and I think another defenseman, I can't remember who, Vakanainen. Yeah. Like, how is that the best use of your most creative offensive player? By putting him with, and I think Drysdale on the power play is fine, but Vakanainen.
No, Drysdale's good on the power play.
Yeah. But so you have Vakanainen, Lundestrom, and then Grant, or it was either Mayhew, Grant, or Lettieri. Regardless, the same concept of what are you doing here with this roster? And while I get, sure, it's kind of the hand they're dealt with the players they have right now, why would you not put Zegras with Terry and Milano?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not have Max Comtois on a power play? Right? Like, I get, there are people that are frustrated with how he's playing and everything like that, but why not have him on the power play? Try to get him going. It's just all these little things, right, that kind of eke away at or kind of really bug me about the trust with Eakins, right? And bug me about going into next season of this right now, he's back. He's going to be back for next season. Right now is the time to build up his players then, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the perfect time. Find that chemistry. Find the guys that you're going to want to put together. Find the Milano, Zegras, Terry line. And instead, he's putting Derek Grant with them. Instead, he's putting Max Comtois on the fourth line with Sam Steele or scratching him. Like, now's the time to really run those guys out instead of playing Jerry Mayhew. Like,
No love for Jerry Mayhew.
But like, is Jerry Mayhew going to be a Duck next year?
I mean, I was before today. I would have said Eakins wasn't back. So,
but realistically,
probably not. Probably not.
Is Max Comtois going to be a Duck next season?
That is a good question.
I mean, most probably yes. I think.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
If Dallas Eakins is the coach now,
that's actually a fair point.
What's gonna change? Because it feels like a lot has to change now for him to work his way back in. I think that one thing that I kind of want to give Eakins some. It's actually a two-sided coin. So John Gibson has been terrible since the All-Star break, and I think that has really just kind of pulled the rug out from underneath the Ducks, and their 5-on-5 play hasn't been so terrible to where they completely bottomed out like they did, or to warrant bottoming out like they did. But that being said, if you look at how Dallas Eakins has used John Gibson in his tenure with the Ducks, how many times have we said they need to play him less? They need to play Anthony Stolarz more. They need to find a way to manage his starts. And Dallas Eakins has just never found a way to do that. And I feel like that, although it's not on him specifically the fact that Gibson is playing poorly, it is on him that he has just been run ragged over the last few years. That is on him. And the fact that he hasn't been able to get through to him, to convince him to buy into playing less for his own sake and for the team's sake, I mean, that kind of falls on the coach, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's, I guess, the frustration. I think extending him for the extra year is no harm, no foul, because at the end of the day, with him only having 1 year left, it's an easy fire also. If someone comes up midway through the season that you like more. And so I think that that's an easy thing. If things don't go well, you're picking up an option for a fourth year. That's not exactly a vote of confidence in Dallas Eakins. That to me, as much as this kind of seems crazy, this more so seems to me like Pat Verbeek doesn't necessarily like anyone out there on the market.
Yeah, so I think it's a bunch of factors. Mm-hmm. I think part of it is that the Ducks probably feel some
loyalty.
Some loyalty to Eakins, and especially it's almost like a recognition of how crazy his tenure has been, and it's kind of a saying, hey, we want to give you a real shot here. Let's give you a real season. Who knows what next year is going to look like, but let's give you a better chance at this. The other side of it is, well, I can't imagine that Pat Verbeek didn't look around, didn't sniff around, and maybe he just didn't have a guy who was really sticking out, and as a result, he's taken the option on Eakins. I mean, to me, it makes more sense just intuitively that Verbeek would have looked for his own guy first, and when that didn't materialize, you always know in the back pocket you have Eakins, who you can bring back, and he's at least a known quantity.
And if the reports are correct, that like we've been talking about, it's an option. It's the fourth year being picked up.
I'm pretty sure they're correct.
Yeah.
But no need for the conditional.
Just protecting ourselves slightly there. But if that's the case, then essentially what he's doing is he's giving himself another year to find exactly who he wants. Whereas finding a new coach and bringing a new coach on a 1 year deal is much less likely to happen. Most coaches are going to be looking for multiple year deals. Yeah. And so that's kind of the benefit of doing this is that, well, it just is another year. It's another year to allow him to search for another coach potentially at the end of next season. Maybe we're in the same situation next summer or going into next summer where the Ducks extend Eakins. But I think at this point,
if they extend him though, it feels like it will at least have been earned at that point.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, like it kind of like I think if the Ducks have a bad season next year and they are if at the end of next season at the same date they are where they are right now, there's not a shot in hell he's back.
Yeah.
I think he coaches the entire next season. Would you agree with that?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
I could see a situation where it's one of those things where, well, we're already paying him for the fourth year. Maybe you fire him halfway through once you find your guy.
Hardcore Luchador, by the way, chimes in saying, you guys should be happy. You'll have another year to mock his line combos.
So This is kind of the thing for me. There's two sides to this coin, which is that I think that Dallas Eakins has not increased the Ducks' baseline this year. I don't think that he's helped increase their median outcome. I think that he's kind of held them back. And it's not the end of the world that the Ducks aren't going to make the playoffs this season. I think that they still need to be collecting high draft picks. They still need to be rebuilding through the draft.
Give me Shane Wright.
But the problem is you have to be setting up a good foundation along the way. And, there's all this talk of Dallas Eakins being a good culture setter and being a good communicator. Like, these are things you hear about a lot. But let's look at the tail of the tape. Look at how he's handled, for example, Max Comtois. Look at how he's handled Trevor Zegras. Look how he handled Troy Terry last year. And it's well and good that Troy Terry has broken out this year, but that might have happened anyway, right? That might have happened sooner if he hadn't been jostled around the lineup previously. So this notion that he's a culture setter, a development guy, I don't entirely buy it. And so if the Ducks, again, miss the playoffs next year, I don't think it's the end of the world because, first off, the 23 draft is supposed to be excellent. But if they're going to have another season of this, of suboptimal tactics, of poor underlying play, that's when I think you're just kind of wasting your time. That's the problem I have with this.
Yeah. And
I feel like he's shown nothing that warrants just on its face, because I understand there's considerations financially, but there's nothing that warrants bringing him back.
So let me ask you this. There's a lot of talk in our Twitch chat, a lot of talk on Twitter, a lot of talk all over about, this is Verbeek not thinking they're going to win next year. This is a tank hiring. This is him the Connor Bedard pictures are coming.
I don't know that for sure.
I don't either. I don't think that's what this is. I think this is Pat Verbeek not liking someone out there. It's him essentially having, at the end of the day, how many games has he had Dallas Eakins as his coach? 20? 30?
Yeah, since February.
So not even a full season. This could just be essentially, for better or worse, you and I both agree that
take a longer look.
Getting a different coach, but keeping the coach that's there and getting a longer look and seeing how you mesh with him before making a decision. Essentially prolonging the decision because he just doesn't have the familiarity with the guy.
Yeah, and I also think that, look, there's been a lot of chatter about how maybe Eakins' decision-making was not completely his own with the lineup under Bob Murray. And I think now this season he's been a little bit of just kind of a rudderless ship where Murray was gone for a while. There was no GM for a while. And then Verbeek is back, but he's focused on the trade deadline. And so it just feels like maybe with the summer where they can kind of just have a meeting of the minds and Verbeek can communicate more how he wants the team to play, how he wants things to look. And of course, at some point the Ducks are going to start building out their analytics department as well with Jeff Solomon, assuming he's back. I think that maybe Eakins just the guiding hand, the guiding voice in his ear will be a lot different next year. And that can maybe change how he coaches. But we've seen how he looks left to his own devices, and it's not pretty. So I can't sit here, talking to the people and say that this is a good move for the Ducks. I think big picture, it's probably a whatever move. But I don't think it's a good move.
Yeah, I think overall Dallas Eakins is a net neutral. I don't think he's a bad coach.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I don't know about that. Where would you say? Do you think that this roster?
Yeah, I might be looking this too rosy because of trying to talk myself into not hating it. Even though I
think that the decision from the 40,000 feet view. I get why the Ducks would do this because there's broader implications and considerations, but I also think just based on the facts and what we've seen from him, it's just crazy to bring this guy back.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get. Yeah. So I'm trying to give everyone every angle of this, but that's my opinion.
I also wonder if he wants to give him a better roster for next year.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, I know.
That's what
I know.
Yeah, it's just let's see what he can do.
Yeah.
Let's finally see what he can do with a real hand.
Yeah. So I think anyone thinking that this means Pat Verbeek thinks the team's not going to win next year, I think that it's kind of the opposite, honestly. I think this is him wanting to see what Dallas Eakins can do with the roster that he's going to reshape over summer. I think Pat Verbeek's going to be doing a lot of work over summer.
Yeah. I think the roster will look different. I think that Eakins will have a better hand. But regardless, it's still his last stand. I think this is it. He's got to show something next year. If he's still messing around with Derek Grant, playing with Trevor Zegras, or what have you, who knows if Derek Grant will even be on the team next year. But it just feels like things have to really change for him to be the coach of the Ducks beyond next season.
Yeah. Sith Lord Buscemi asked this, and I want to just get to it now before we even get into all the questions. If he was criticized for lifelessly coaching because he was unsure about his future, how does a 1-year extension change that?
Well, because he goes from a lame duck to now knowing he has a future. And I think lame duck coaches are always in a really tough spot. So I actually do kind of sympathize with that.
Yeah, and people are bringing up, like DB Lyre said, I feel like we keep making excuses for Dallas. He didn't have a full year or a good enough roster. Bottom line, he's done nothing to give the fan base any confidence in his abilities. And that's completely fair. And I think when you and I kind of bring up these things, it's more so searching for reasons, I guess.
Well, it's trying to make sense of why the decision was made, because it wasn't just made out of thin air.
Yes.
At least you hope not, but I don't think it was. And so we have to mention that, but I think that comment is exactly it, which is that, yes, everyone wants to give Dallas Eakins an out for why things haven't gone well. And I think that, yes, those things are real. They must be acknowledged. They're part of the story for him. But the things that he can control, the things that he can do to make the team better, he just hasn't done. And in fact, not only has he not done them, talking about certain line combinations, time on ice, things like that, but he's actually taken a suboptimal route. And that's even worse than just not doing the optimal thing. Because to me, if he was a net neutral, he would just have these kind of boring-ish lines, but that aren't just going to be liabilities.
That's fair.
That's not what he's done.
That's a fair point. I guess the counter to me doing that is putting Derek Grant with Trevor Zegras.
Right. And I mean, and that's just example one. I mean, we've been doing this long enough now where there's so many micro examples, right? Of just for the way he's handled Trevor Zegras, to me is kind of that's the bellwether for all of this, is just not ever trusting him to even take faceoffs, just overly managing his minutes. And maybe part of that was Murray, but going back to even 2 years ago with Troy Terry, right? And the fact that they set him down to end the year. I mean, it's just all those different things. You put them together, and
hell, last year with Terry being a healthy scratch.
Yeah, it still doesn't add up. And even this year, I mean, I understand playing Isaac Lundestrom a lot because he's scoring goals, but anyone watching what's going on is probably thinking, hey, maybe this guy shouldn't be the kind of go-to shutdown player. And I mean, also his handling of Jamie Drysdale, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that Drysdale has never faced almost any consequence for bad play, that he's just been given free reign alongside Hampus Lindholm, just all these different things that you can point to. And really, these things are aspects that you would want to see a guy who's in charge of a developing team really nail, because the development really matters. You need these guys to hit on their draft potential. And I mean, right now, I think Jamie Drysdale is trending to hit on that. Maybe not hitting his ceiling, but I think he's going to get somewhere in that range. Trevor Zegras probably, but it's a mixed bag outside of that. I mean, Max Comtois right now is looking worse than he did last year. Yep, and that's on the coach to a degree. So.
Yep. All right, and the final piece of news. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. The final piece of news from the week is Harvard defenseman Henry Thrun told The Athletic that he will go back to school for his senior year, but added that he will attend the Ducks development camp. Collegiates are allowed to attend those. Thrun, and this is all from Eric Stevens, Thrun spoke to the Anaheim staff as well as former national team development program teammates Zegras and Hellison, but felt going back was the correct decision for now. And then in addition to that, Blake McLaughlin signed his ELC. I actually haven't looked at it too much. I will right now, but I believe that it is similar type of thing of it kicks in next year, and then he signed an ATO to join the goals. And Jackson Lacombe remains undecided on whether he's going to go back to the University of Minnesota or come out this year. And so there isn't any additional information on that. And so, yeah, Blake McLaughlin signed a 2-year entry-level deal that begins next season and joined the goals on an ATO. So, really quickly, just so everyone's aware kind of what this all means, is you are given 4 years per the CBA to sign your entry players drafted. And so, basically, the way that it works is if they become, here's how the actual section of the CBA, if a player drafted at age 18 or 19 who had received a bona fide offer in accordance with the certain section of the CBA becomes a bona fide college student prior to the June 1st following his selection in the entry draft. and remains a bona fide college student through the graduation of his college class, his drafting club shall retain his exclusive rights of negotiating for his services through and including the August 15th following the graduation of his college class. So basically, August 16th, he would become a free agent, is what that means. And so basically, you have 4 years to sign your guys. And if Thrun goes back for his senior season, he can come out. He can basically wait it out until August and become a free agent. Same thing with Lacombe. The real thing to understand here, and this is, I mean, that's the worst case scenario. This is part of what happens with college guys. This isn't just to be clear, this isn't a Justin Schultz situation. It may seem the same way. Schultz was different, though. That was a very specific loophole that allowed players that played a specific junior college in Canada, it's like junior B or something like that, and then go to college, allowed them to come out after 3 years as compared to 4. But the worst case scenario is he becomes a free agent and doesn't join the Ducks.
So here's what I see here.
Okay.
Unless you have anything else you want to say.
The other thing I was going to add here was that with Henry Thrun, it's important to keep in mind that the Ivy League schools did not play last year.
Yeah.
So he had to go to the Dubuque Fighting Saints of the USHL. He's only actually played 2 years of college. He actually hasn't played 4 years of college or 3 years of college. So I think if you want to look for a positive, optimistic read of this situation, it could be that, well, he wants to get a third year of college under his belt for his development. He thinks that is really where he could find himself improving the most. And then he's able, once his season's over in college next season, sign his ELC then, and essentially it's a 3-year deal that kicks in right away and gets him paid right away. And so there's no difference between signing a 3-year deal that kicks in next year versus signing one just at the end of his college career next season. Right.
And so I think that there's a lot of reasons why it makes sense for him to go back. And I think you spelled them out, which is the fact that he hasn't had that full college experience. It's been weird with the pandemic. And so now he gets an opportunity to go and have that final year. I think that there's nothing wrong with that. And I think maybe this was partly his decision and partly maybe the Ducks development staff saying, hey, we want you to have kind of that closure, that full experience. And also maybe it was from his side kind of assessing the Ducks' current, the current roster and looking at the depth on the blue line and thinking on the left side, well, is there a spot for me in the NHL next year, or am I going to end up being in the minors, whereas I could play another year in college and maybe then come back out with a shot at the NHL right away, or a better shot at the NHL right away? I think that that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I'm curious because he had a lot of points last season. And I'm very curious to see where he ends up at, because basically what I'm wondering if he could be in the running for the Hobey Baker next year.
Right. Well. So while you look that up, I just want to say that I think for him, if I were advising him, I would say, yeah. Would you rather play in the minors for a year, or would you rather just potentially, like you said, be a candidate for the Hobey Baker, have a fun final year of college, and then the year after that, you have a better shot at making the NHL right away? Because right now, I mean, on the Ducks' left side, let me ask you this. I know you're still looking up your thing, but Cam Fowler's a lock to be on the blue line on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I mean, they went out and got Euro Vakanainen. He's an RFA. I'm assuming he's going to be back. They're playing him minutes right now. You've got Simon Benoit, also an RFA. I think that's maybe where the questions start a little bit. Is he going to be back or not? And you've also got Josh Mahura, who's got a year left on his contract. So if you're Henry Thrun and you're looking at that depth chart, and then, of course, there's also guys in the minors, there's not necessarily this wide open path to making the league right away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think it makes sense for him to just kind of give it another year before then making the jump.
Yeah. And keep in mind, the salary in the minors is like $70,000 on an ELC. It's not that much in the minors. So he had 32 points in, let me see, 32 points in 35 games. So not near the top, but close to a point per game. That's if he's able to make a leap and really kind of make a jump next season, I mean, he could potentially push his way into that role.
Yeah.
Right?
I think I misspoke on it's Uro Vakanainen, not Euro, which probably makes more sense.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So by the way, $80,000 in the minors is what they end up making.
Yeah. I mean, he's getting paid in college too, right? So.
Wow.
Oh, we're not supposed to say that.
Wow.
We're not supposed to say that. Sorry.
Just going for it.
You didn't hear anything. But yeah, so I think it makes sense for both sides.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense for both sides.
And so we'll see with Jackson Lacombe. I mean, Lacombe did play last year in college. So granted, COVID season. So I'm curious to see. But yeah, Blake McLaughlin has already joined the goals along with Drew Hellison. So those guys are starting to come in. I mean, the one bummer is I think seeing Henry Thrun and Jackson Lacombe with the goals right now as they go on a playoff run would have been really fun.
But we might get that next year.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Like that's the whole thing. I think there's going to be some overreaction to this from the diehards that pay attention to this stuff, but I think it's going to be all right.
Yep. All right. Let's jump into questions or anything else you want to talk about.
No. Let's do the questions.
Okay. AppAG asked, and we're going to start with our Discord. Go to patreon.com/crashspawn to get on our Discord. AppAG said, do the Ducks make the playoffs next season? And if you don't think that they do, what are the issues that need to be addressed in order for them to get there?
I mean, I think that their forward depth is the biggest issue right now. And that's the number one thing. I mean, we were talking about it early on in the show with Getzlaf's retirement. Their center depth is just not nearly as impressive. You're really banking on some internal improvement. So they're going to have to improve that, I will say. Do they make the playoffs? I mean, Dallas Eakins is going to be the coach. It's really hard for me to bet on him pushing this team into the playoffs, but he'll have a better roster. I'm going to go with no, though.
Yep. I'm just, you know what? I'm just going to be positive. I've said this bunch. They're making the playoffs next year. It's happening.
Okay.
Enjoy it. A Taco Pie said, I don't hate holding on to Eakins for another year. Do you see anything worthwhile in Eakins ever getting together before the summer and really getting on the same page? Maybe you don't want to change coaches until it's because it takes you to the top of the league. Basically, there's a coach out there that takes you to the top.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying earlier, is I think maybe now that Eakins knows he's at least got another year and that Verbeek will have the summer to really kind of instill the new organizational culture, his vision, that maybe that Eakins' approach will change to a degree. And so there is some value to that. And I think that there's nothing wrong with the placeholder coach, as long as that coach isn't actively making you significantly worse and potentially hampering the development of your younger players, which I would contend is what Eakins has done.
Yep. JJ Stone Drum says, when will the pain end?
Oh yeah, the Eakins news is really not being enjoyed.
Yeah,
by some.
On that same boat, Ferdo Duck says, I hate holding on to Eakins for another year. Can you just spend the whole show raging into the void?
I think we kind of did.
We spent moments of it. Moments. Yeah. Will said 147 players were drafted before Troy Terry. 28 have more points than him. Most of those 28, 27 of them have over 225 plus games played compared to Terry's current 196. The one player drafted after him of those 28 with more points is Andrew Mangiapane with 19 more points in 54 more games played. Of all the players to play at least greater than 82 but less than or equal to Terry's 196, only Kaprizov has more points with 140 and 125. I'm enjoying this because it's just singing the praises
This
of Terry.
might be the longest question we've ever gotten.
Being that Kaprizov was a KHL draft pick and the age and skill difference that generally comes with the players coming over from the KHL, is Terry the biggest steal of the 2015 draft?
Without having the draft class right in front of me, I'm going to go with yes, based on where he was drafted.
I mean, I just laid out all the stats for you. You know, you could just listen.
I did listen.
I know.
But you're asking me.
I know.
Like,
I'm giving you a hard.
I'm going to say yes, though.
Okay. Hey, OG Flo said, if Eakins is extended by only 1 year, is it possible Verbeek is doing this as a management strategy to elevate the attractiveness of the organization to future prospective coaches and players, since the lack of a multi-year extension would imply he doesn't fully believe in Eakins for the long term? Maybe he sees the 1 year extension as an olive branch that reflects favorably on his management team for future coaches and players considering joining the team. Your thoughts on this?
I think that, yeah, maybe you could say that you want to make it seem like you're fair to your coaches, and maybe there's this belief that Eakins hasn't had a fair shake. But I think people would also understand new GM, new coach. Like, that's pretty common. So I don't completely buy that. And now, I mean, I think this was asked before we knew about the 1 year option.
Yeah.
I think the option kind of because this isn't the Ducks choosing to add a year. It's a year that was already there.
Yep, exactly. Bob Murray's gift.
It just keeps on giving, baby.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna go to Twitter and then we'll come to Twitch. But so this comes from an abundance of caution. Even Wilder Wing said, "Question for tonight's show: is Dallas Eakins the Sam Steele of NHL coaching?"
I'm gonna say no. I think he's worse. More like a. I'm just gonna say worse.
I knew where you were going.
I'm gonna bite my tongue off.
Everyone knew where you were gonna go. This comes from Chris Kober at District 5 Hockey, former managing editor at Anaheim Calling before we got there, actually.
Oh, shout out.
Yeah. Question for the pod. You seem worried about Thrun going back to Harvard and becoming UFA, but doesn't the same thing apply to Lacombe going back to Minnesota for a 4th year? Yes. So the same exact thing applies. I think it's just because we don't know what's happening with him yet, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing is once we know that. This is a side potential shit show topic, but we'll just do it really quickly now. Is bring me a rock a common phrase or just an engineering phrase? I don't know what bring me a rock means. And
I've never heard that.
And I asked him, I was like, is this something I've said on the show? He's like, no, but sharpening the pencil reminds me of it. And I hear a lot of workers.
Bring me a rock.
And I hear a lot with working with engineers. I've never heard bring me a rock. And now I'm like Googling it.
That's insane.
Bring me a rock. There's a book. It's a popular management game. In the management world, this behavior is described as bring me a rock. It describes the behavior of a manager or leader who assigns a task.
I don't care.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Trevor Zegras, a good follower, Trevor Zegras to the show, says, what do you think the Ducks' chances of making the playoffs next year are?
I think with the roster improvements, I would put it at maybe 40%.
I'd say 50-50.
50-50, sure.
In 5 years, what would your ideal first line and first D pair look like? Whether it's
in 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years. 5 years.
Okay, really stretching me out here.
Zegras, Shane Wright, Jacob Perreault.
Sure. I mean, definitely Trevor Zegras.
And then Drysdale Zellweger.
I mean, are Terry and Milano still in the picture at that point?
Milano definitely is not. Terry will be 30.
I mean, Milano and Terry are similar aged.
Milano's 2 years older.
Well, he's 25 right now, but I think...
Also, speaking of ages. Do you want to celebrate?
What do I want to celebrate?
Do you want to celebrate?
Oh, God. Actually, yes.
Would you like to celebrate?
Actually, I just want to celebrate the fact that I got so many people reaching out on Jamie Drysdale's birthday. No longer 19 years old. No longer 19. Finally, we don't have to hear that anymore. Although I'm willing to bet, I missed the games over the weekend, but I'm willing to bet that we're going to hear at some point. And he was just 19. The recent, the now 20-year-old, the now 20-year-old is going to be the new one. But 19 holds a special place in my heart, and I will not miss it whatsoever.
Yeah,
so,
and speaking of...
Happy birthday, Jamie Drysdale.
Yeah, and Zellweger-Drysdale would be the pairing. And speaking of Zellweger... thoughts go out to him. Hopefully he's feeling better after that scary hit last night.
Yeah, that's terrible.
All right, so time for questions from our Twitch chat. So for those of you watching on YouTube, yes, we're on YouTube, youtube.com/crashpond, or listening on your favorite podcast services. We do a live stream of the show each and every time at 8 p.m. on Mondays at twitch.tv/crashpond, where you can like and subscribe to the show. If you hit the like button, I think it's actually, the follow button, you'll get notified when we go live. If you subscribe, you have Amazon Prime, you get one free Twitch Prime sub each and every month. You get special emotes in the chat, special badges next to your name, and it helps out the show more than you can imagine. You can be just like Kempafu, who resubbed for 28 months, and Darko Theory, who resubbed for 11 months. And Darko Theory added this. I hope Getzlaf and Perry get a moment like Temu and Jaguar did. Still one of the most memorable moments to the end of their careers. Also,
I feel like they might try to do that.
Also, we should note with Getzlaf, he is not going to be playing that final road trip. His final game in the NHL will be that final home game.
Yeah, good luck trying to get tickets.
Oh, I am going.
Well, you have season.
I will be there.
Yeah,
And
good on
so,
you.
yeah, excited. That will be a solid. It's crazy. There's only 2 more home games left in the season.
Wow, that is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. It's kind of nuts. All right. So Sith Lord Buscemi asks, question: are the Ducks an analytics darling in free agency?
I'm trying to think what that would mean.
Do they pick up analytics guys or guys
Okay.
like darlings of the analytics?
I thought you said, are they analytics darlings in free agency?
Yeah. I actually read this. Sorry.
Yeah.
Are there any analytics darlings in free agencies?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see. Can I quickly pull up? Why don't I pull up free agents while you bring up other questions?
Dalton Keys asks, does Getzlaf's number retirement happen next season? Yes.
Yeah.
Without
I don't think they're gonna wait very long.
Yes. Lewis X29 said best ballpark food not including hot dogs. Nachos.
Oh.
The helmet nachos.
So okay, I saw the people in front of me had those, and I don't know. Those look kind of gnarly.
Oh, they're delicious.
The guac in them was like fluorescent.
Oh, I just get no guac.
Oh, well, of course you do.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Sour
Although
cream.
Here you're actually correct though. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll give you that.
Yeah. But I would say those helmet nachos. What's your best ballpark food not including hot dogs?
Oh, that's really I had Cracker Jacks yesterday. First time in probably over a decade. And they were great, but I feel like the ratio not overrated. That's sinful to say. But the ratio of peanuts to like popcorn I feel like has gotten worse over the years. It needs to be closer to 50-50 than like 90-10.
It's always been 90-10.
No, I don't think so.
It's always been 90-10.
If memory serves, no.
It's always been mainly popcorn and not many nuts.
I disagree. Oh, analytics darling, Patrice Bergeron. He's a free agent. He's going to the Habs, baby. I think Andre Burakovsky could count as that.
Yeah.
I think certainly more than like a Dominic Kubalik.
Oh, God. Remember that whole thing when the Ducks were linked?
You hated that. I
mean, it turned out to be not correct.
Well, yeah. I mean, they were just linked. That loose term.
Heavily linked per Chicago beat writer.
Yeah. No. I mean, maybe, but probably not.
Yeah. Animeholics D94 said that did the Eakins news make you want to grab the alcohol despite it being Monday night?
No.
No.
I mean, it's just I don't know. Like it's like I've done this before. I know what to expect.
The fourth year option makes me feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah, I think that knowing that now does make it more. I think if we had found out, because the original report, which we didn't even really talk about, was that they were signing him for at least another year. There was no mention.
Oh yeah, it was like listed as extension also.
Yes, exactly. And so I think now, so that would have been bad. That would have been okay. You've seen this guy, and you're choosing to bring him back for more than a year. Now it's like okay, well it's kind of like a coin toss year anyway. So not as bad, but still not what I would have done.
Yep. Let's see. DB Lowry said, how do the Ducks improve the appeal of the franchise to prospective free agents and players after the Dadonov situation? Should the Ducks staff worry about becoming the American Winnipeg? No, I think the Dadonov situation is specific to taxes because all 3 California teams were on his no-trade clause. So that was a very specific thing to Dadonov not wanting to deal with California taxes. And I don't think the Ducks are that. I think the Ducks are a place that players probably want to go. I don't think, like Winnipeg players don't want to go there because taxes in Canada are high. Winnipeg's extremely cold.
Yeah, and it's far from everything.
Yeah.
As we've kind of
There's the joke about there being no airports.
Yeah, like it's I don't think the Ducks are on track to become American Winnipeg.
No.
I think American Winnipeg is the Coyotes, if anything.
I mean, the Ducks could have been on that track with Bob Murray over the last 2 years, and maybe that's why there hasn't been any roster change. But I think having Trevor Zegras here, I think Trevor Zegras would make players want to come.
I think the appeal of the franchise is going up.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep. Fat Geralt says, question, is Axel Anderson expected to crack the roster? How is he as a prospect? I don't hear much chatter about him.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a damn thing about him this year.
Yeah. I mean, I think John over at Defend the Nest talks him up, but everything that I've kind of seen is it doesn't seem like he's going to amount to really anything in the NHL.
Yeah, I wouldn't spend too much thought there.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we expected when we saw him as part of that deal.
Yeah, he's just a throw-in.
Yep. Let's see. A Taco Pie says, who are realistic free agent options since you have it pulled up? This is about for you, Felix. Paverbeek said he wants to be aggressive in free agency. I honestly think he's going to, I mean, this is now just a complete hunch. But I think with his understanding of aging curves, with everything he said, I could see him going for an offer sheet.
I mean, yeah, we keep.
Did Steve Yzerman offer sheet anyone ever?
I don't think so. Actually, did they offer sheet Braden Point? No. That was the Canadians and someone else. But anyway, might have been Detroit. I don't think so though. I mean, Kevin Fiala is the guy who keeps saying that they should offer sheet. I don't know if that'll happen just because NHL GMs don't really do. I mean, offer sheets are still really rare.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Burakovsky's an interesting guy. He's 27. He doesn't have a crazy, a little bit older, but I mean that's how you improve the team, though.
Yeah.
Like there aren't free agents. There aren't UFAs that are 24.
I mean, just offer sheet Matt Tkachuk.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
Yeah.
Like my whole point is just that when you go into the pool of free agency, you're not getting guys in their prime. You're not getting guys in the thick of their prime. You're getting them kind of on the exit ramp. And so like you just have to accept that. I mean, the guy that if you want to play that game, the guy that you go all in for is Johnny Gaudreau.
Yeah.
Like that's the guy who increases your ceiling the most for probably a longer period of time than anyone else and might actually be worth the money.
Yep. Agreed. Let's see. I don't necessarily see any more questions, so throw them in if you've got them. But I think it's that time of the show, Felix. A little quick shit show portion.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Zama City, Alberta.
Zama?
Zama.
Oh, God.
Zama City, Alberta. Let's see.
How is this a thing?
I don't know. Don't blame me. Blame the listeners.
Who found this?
Let's see. Who was it? It was Casey.
Okay. Wow. This is very far north. This is like the north. This is like the top left corner of Alberta as there's just cackling in Jake's background.
It's because Salem's about to walk on screen and has a bag on her head, and my wife's in here laughing at her. I'm gonna save her. Go ahead, Felix.
Okay. I don't know what to do here. But yeah, Zama City, Alberta. It's basically in the Northwest Territories. It's pretty much the middle of nowhere. Might be worse than the middle of nowhere. I'm not really sure. But there are a couple things to look at. There's actually the Noralta Inn, which has a 4 out of 5 star rating on Google. Sorry, 4.2 out of 5. And we've actually got a review here from Rachel Cole. And this was written 5 months ago. A 5-star review. She's a local guide. I don't know how do you achieve local guide on Google? It's just X amount of reviews.
The picture of this is legitimately of just like
like an oil field.
Yeah.
But so Rachel Cole, if you have any jobs around that area that requires worker housing, I can't recommend the Noralta more. They are equipped to handle full crews, and they give them the care they need to rest up and get the job done. They provide meals and have great staff. So this is basically like an oil drilling town, is what it seems like. But there is a library in the city or town, whatever you want to call it. 5 out of 5 stars, but there's only one review. I'm gonna call a small sample here, but shout out to the Zama Community Library.
Yeah, shouts. Zaboomafoo, Yukon.
That can't be real. That actually can't be real.
Google Maps can't find it.
Zaboomafoo, isn't that a character?
I don't know.
Child's show?
Kempafu put it in our Discord, and now he's just...
I think he just wanted us to read that.
Wow, and he's... Wow.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah. Okay.
How rude. How rude sullying the great name of this bit of the podcast.
I mean, we call it shit show. I don't think you can really sully it any further than that.
Yeah. I guess we'll just end with this then from the food channel. Appa AG said, potlucks are so hit or miss, but when they hit.
Wait, what?
Potlucks.
Oh, potlucks?
are so hit or miss, but when
Yeah.
they hit.
Yeah, because people bring bad things.
Also said barbecue beans with hot dogs.
Yeah. I'm a fan of that. I think
Okay.
that's a good move.
Good.
Are we talking about beans in the hot dog or on the side?
Not sure.
I think on the side is a good call.
Not a big barbecue beans guy.
Oh?
They're fine.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh? You have a lot of weird taste. I feel like I get a lot of crap, but I say this routinely, but you deserve the most.
It's because I'm not as aggressive. I just said I'm not the biggest fan of barbecue beans. I didn't say they're I don't say they're like the worst thing in the world.
Wait, okay. Are barbecue beans like bush beans? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Those are good. Those are classic.
They're fine. They're not the
What?
best.
Well, sure. I mean, yeah, they're not the best, but they're good. There's nothing wrong with them. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just still a little bummed out about my Angels Stadium hot dog experience.
You know?
Was hoping for more. Was hoping to have better news to report back.
I mean, you could just be like Lou and just go get a Jersey Mike sub.
Yeah. I've never tried Jersey Mike's.
Really? Jersey Mike's is delicious.
I'm trying to be better about not down talking things I've never tried.
What were you about to say?
I was gonna say Jersey Mike's is trash, but I've never tried it, so I'm trying to be better about this. You know, we're in the new year. It's about self-growth. You know, you're trying to get better every day.
Is there a certain someone that's telling you that you should do this?
It's just, it's coming from within, from the heart. It's important for it to come from the heart.
Okay, I see you. Yeah, Jersey Mike's is delicious.
Yeah, I mean, I've never tried it, so I can't say one way or the other.
The Club Supreme, roast beef, turkey, bacon, delicious.
Okay. Turkey is not good. I've tried deli turkey, but not good.
What?
It's actually one of the worst.
I had a
get.
deli turkey sandwich for dinner tonight at home.
That's disgusting.
I
think it's
it was
so gross.
turkey, ham, mayo, mustard.
I mean, that doesn't I would eat that if I had to, but deli turkey is just nasty. Like, I'm sorry, if you're gonna put turkey in there, like, get actual turkey meat. Don't get the deli cold cut.
This one's gonna get you. This one's gonna get you ratioed.
I mean, someone out there has to agree with me on this. Like, anyone who understands like food quality knows.
Wait, why is putting mayo and mustard that's a great combination?
Yeah, mayo mustard's good.
Lou's now calling me out. Jake lost me with putting mayo and mustard on my sandwich.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
it's just normal turkey meat. Yeah, I mean, if it was actually just normal turkey meat sliced, I would believe that. I would be fine with that, but it rarely is. It very rarely is.
That is literally what it is.
Look, you have to look at the ingredients. Look at the ingredients. If there's anything outside of turkey, then the answer to your question is no. So, yeah.
You are so okay. What's your top lunch meat then?
Lunch meat? Roast beef. But like real, good, not like the fake crap.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that so wrong?
Okay. Roast beef is fine. The only times I like roast beef is when it's with. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, the sandwich was turkey, roast beef, and bacon.
Roast beef is the best one. Like, if you're gonna go down that rabbit hole of lunch meats, roast beef is the Rolls Royce. It's the king. There's no competition. There isn't.
No.
I can't believe you're dying on the turkey hill.
Turkey is the staple.
No, turkey sucks.
You're wrong.
Okay,
you're wrong.
We should probably get out of here.
Is there anything else? Went to Disneyland yesterday. Shout out to Varluna. Thank you so much. Realized that as an adult, the what is it? The California Adventure Wine and Food Festival is one of the best things ever.
Oh,
just great. Beers all around. Lots of good food. Had a strawberry cheesecake. Wife had a blueberry pie.
I just want to say I'm not ignoring you at all, but Ken Pafu has a great take in our why can't I think of the word Twitch chat. It was Discord. Caprese with prosciutto.
Yes. Oh yes.
Okay, so you're not crazy then.
Mozzarella actually. Yeah, no, that is mozzarella. Okay, yeah. I forgot the caprese was mozzarella and tomatoes. I just do it no tomatoes then.
But yeah, happy that you had a good day. You know?
Yeah. It was
I'm
great.
happy for
Walking around, had a tiki time wheat beer, was delicious.
Of course you did.
Brisket fries. It was a great time. Great time.
Yeah. We almost crossed paths. We were in the same city.
Yes. Yes. You could have said hi, but didn't hate me.
Well, yeah, sorry I wasn't willing to spend like $1 million for like 3 hours of entertainment.
You're being asked if you like gabagool.
I don't know what that is. That's why I'm not responding. I don't know what gabagool is. Is that bad? Is that bad that I don't know?
I have no
idea.
idea.
Let me Google it. And when I see that word, I just think of gobbledygook, which is not a food, I believe.
I don't think it's a food.
Gabagool. What the hell is gabagool? This is the first thing that comes up on Google. What the hell is gabagool, and why does Tony Soprano talk about it all the time? Let's see.
It's the New Jersey term for capicola.
Oh, I've actually never had capicola.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I've never had it, but it looks good. There's actually an Italian deli across the street from me.
There's an Italian deli within walking distance of me. It's delicious.
Same. Could walk.
Yeah.
Might go this week. Who knows?
Wow.
Just 2 hit or miss though. I'm not gonna throw their name out because I don't want to damage their business, with our powerful reach on this pod. But 2 hit or miss. 2 hit or miss.
All right.
That's all I'll say.
I think that's probably gonna do it for
Never
us.
watched The Sopranos.
Neither have I.
Question.
Neither have I.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's wrap up. This was a fun one. This was a weighty one. But if you enjoyed what you heard today, there is a few ways that you can support us, that you can help us
keep
this thing going. Are we?
Yeah.
Why? For the Sopranos thing?
Yeah, the Sopranos thing.
I don't think it's a big deal, but I think that about a lot of things, though. So, I don't know. Jake, you're on your own here. Welcome to my world, I guess. Couple ways you can support us. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/crashthepond. For $1 a month, you get access to our patrons-only Discord server. It's a ton of fun. You get to bond and connect with other diehard Ducks fans, or not diehard. Maybe you're just new and trying to learn. It's a really fun community where we talk about trades. Very welcoming. Trades, games, the draft, everything. But we also have different channels, so it's not limited to hockey. We have a channel just to discuss food and our crazy food opinions. We have a general chat, which has basically become the baseball chat as of late. Completely fine. So check that out. It's for $1 a month, $5 a month. You get access to that and 2 bonus episodes. So on those, we'll do more league-wide topics. We'll do rankings, be a bit more unfiltered than maybe we are on the show. That's for $5. And then there's an additional super tier of $15, which we really, really appreciate if you can make that happen. Now, you don't have to pledge any money, though, to support the show. In fact, you can spend maybe, 2 minutes. Just search us on Apple Podcasts. Leave a rating and a review. It goes a really long way. It helps us kind of keep climbing up, keep adding to this show, and we just love to hear from you guys. You can also find us on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, really. We're also on YouTube. Check us out, youtube.com/crashthepond. You can see the video version of the show, and make sure to subscribe there and also turn on the notifications. And also make sure to comment. Let us know what you think about our crazy takes here at the very end. Love seeing the YouTube comments. Also, make sure to check out our website, crashthepond.com. We've got articles going up there, but also we've got a shop, crashthepond.com/shop. Another way for you to rep your favorite team and also rep your favorite podcast. You can get t-shirts, hoodies. We've got stickers, which Jake is displaying proudly here. That's the giant one, but there's different sizes. We've got them in different colors as well. We've got the eggplant and jade, but we've also got the orange and black, so you can put it on whatever you'd like. If you get a sticker, please take a picture and tag us at Crash the Pond on Twitter. We've also got coffee mugs now. So, again, same thing. You can get them in either color, and let us see how you're enjoying your favorite warm drink / coffee in the morning. We'd love to see that. That's at crashthepond.com/shop. I've already mentioned on Twitter at crashthepond. Also on Facebook. Jake is on Twitter at reindeergames91, and I am on Twitter at Felix_Sicard. That is going to do it for the show tonight, everyone. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.